Hi there, my name's Linda Albertson from Bega Valley Shire Library, and I'm here today with a local writer and newly published author, Jennifer Severn. Earlier this year, Jen published her memoir called Long Road to Dry River, and here's a copy of it here. Jen, thanks for coming in today to chat about your book.
It's a pleasure.
I read it last weekend and I found it intriguing. Reminds me that there's always more to people than what you think. So your story has quite a few themes in it that I think many people will relate to. How would you describe your book and what it's about?
Oh, right. Well, whenever anyone asks what it's about, I always remember a conversation I had with my aunt about 3 years ago. I was really struggling at the time, and she said to me, well, what's it about? And so I said, oh, well, it's about how I arrived in Quaama and all of the different factors that colluded or conspired or whatever to bring me here. And one of those was my time in India as a sannyasin and friends that I made over there. That was one factor in me arriving in Quaama. Mm-hmm. Another factor was my very difficult relationship with my father, which was really instrumental in getting me to Quaama. And the third factor was my MS. And so all of those things really brought me to Quaama. And then the story doesn't stop when I arrive. It goes on about all of the good things that have happened to me since I've arrived in Quaama. So talking to Auntie Julie, that's what I said. And she said, oh, right, okay, so it's about belonging.
Great.
Just like that. And I thought, and at the time, I thought, and I went back to work and everything fell into place.
Right, yep.
So that was a great conversation that I'd had, and that's what it's about. The long answer and the short answer. Yeah.
The one word answer, belonging.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Auntie Julie is a psychologist, and she told me about, I think it was Carl Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. And first of all, you need food and warmth and safety, and once you've got all of those things in place, there's these higher needs, and one of them is belonging.
Yep, something we all seek, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose that's what I've always been seeking, and it's what I've found in my community.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Would your experience of living with multiple sclerosis a factor in wanting to share your story as well and publish your book?
Yes, it was. There was a time about 5 or 6 years ago when I thought that I was going to cure my MS, and there was already the inkling of a book in the back of my mind, but I thought, oh well, I know now what the book's going to be. It's going to be a recovery memoir, and I'd started a new diet. I thought it was going to fix everything, and I thought I'll document it and I'll put it all down, and then I'll be able to help a lot of other people with MS. Of course, that didn't happen, but it's probably a more interesting story that it didn't happen.
Sure.
Yep. Really, I mean, I wouldn't have minded being cured, but for the sake of the book, it's probably more interesting that I wasn't.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, so it was a big factor.
Your book was shortlisted, in fact, for the 2018 Finch Prize for memoir. Did you enter that prize to sort of test the waters, see how your writing stacked up against others, so to speak, or what was your motivation towards?
I guess so. I'd had a couple of friends read the manuscript at that stage, and other people had read bits and pieces of it, and of course they'd all said that it was fine, or it was good, or it was great, but they were all friends. And so I thought, well, here's a chance to get an objective assessment of it. And so the fact that it was shortlisted for that was, it was very encouraging.
That must have been so exciting.
Yes.
Even to be shortlisted for something like that.
That's right. It was, there have been various points along the way that have given me the impetus to keep going. That was a big one.
For sure, yeah.
And I think it's improved a lot since then. So that was 2 years ago, and before it was published, I rearranged it quite a lot actually, in the chronology of it and everything. So I think it's a much better story now than it was even then.
Well, that was one of the things that I enjoyed about your book, was how it was structured.
Right, that it wasn't just I was born in 1965 all the way through.
That's right.
It jumped around a bit.
Yeah, it wasn't just a chronological memoir. It did loop back on itself a few times, but I thought you did that beautifully. It was just very seamless, and it was effortless as a reader.
Oh, good.
And it made sense. All the loop backs actually made sense, and it wasn't like I had to rifle back through the pages to try and refresh my memory about, well, hold on a minute, what was going on there. It was really well done, I thought.
Oh, good, it worked then.
Yeah, it did, yeah, excellent. And of course a memoir involves writing about other people as well. Family, friends. Yeah, that's right. Did you show, before you published your book, did you give family members a chance, or just to tell them about what you intended?
I did. Everybody knew my intention. I showed certain parts of it to certain people, either to just check I got the facts right, or when I knew I had the facts right, to check that it was okay to publish them. And I think right in the beginning it says that some names have been changed, but most names haven't. And the various people that I thought better check all came through and said, yeah, that's fine with me.
Wonderful.
And so, yeah. And yes, as far as family goes, I haven't had, even after publishing it, I sort of heart in mouth sort of see what they think of this, but nobody's been unhappy. It's been really good, the feedback I've had from family. It's been one of the best things about it, actually.
Great, so that's really positive, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy most about writing the book?
Probably finishing it, I think. It was a long, hard slog, Linda. It was hard work, and it took me a lot longer than it should have, probably. I would say the thing I've enjoyed the most has been hearing people's responses to it since it was published.
Sure, yep.
Reviews on Goodreads, and I get texts and messages on Facebook and emails and phone calls, because I'm in the phone book.
Right.
And it's just been wonderful to hear just the fact that people do want to get in touch and tell me what they think.
For sure.
But just to hear everybody's individual response, and almost always it starts off with, we've got so much in common. And we do.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a quote that I really love, and sorry to the person who originally said it, because I always forget his name, but he was a writer called William, I think Macpherson, but I could be wrong there. But he said, we read to know we're not alone.
Yep.
And and if I can help people to see that they aren't alone, and that somebody else is going through what they've gone through, and it might be the father problems, it might be the MS, and often it is, it might be the tree change aspect.
Sure.
There's a lot of people find things in there that we have in common.
Anybody else done the naked skydiving?
Not so far. No. I actually, thank you. I'm just waiting for the person to text and say, we've got so much in common. I jumped out of a plane without any clothes on.
Yes.
But so far, no.
Okay. I guess that gets back to that whole sense of belonging too, isn't it? You're not alone. There's
No,
other people
that's right.
going through the same things, whatever it is.
You'd be surprised
Yep.
how many of
Yep.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Is there anything that you would do differently in terms of producing the book, whether it's writing it or publishing it?
Nothing springs to mind.
Mm-hmm.
No, I did have a decision to make at one stage whether to go with a publisher or self-publish. And I was offered a contract and I was advised not to take the contract. It was a lot of work, the self-publishing, and at various times I thought I should have taken that contract. But no, I'm pleased now that I did self-publish. I had a lot more control over the cover and everything. So no, not so far. Isn't that great?
It is. Congratulations
no, I
on both
change
counts.
Anything.
Yeah,
thank you.
that's great. Would you like to give a reading from?
I can read a
your
little
book?
bit.
Yeah,
I was thinking
yeah.
about that and I think I mentioned before, one of the themes of the book, or one of the threads, is the somewhat difficult relationship I had with Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, it was lawyers at 10 paces kind of thing. It did become a legal issue. And I was down in Melbourne and the friends I was staying with suggested that I visit a solicitor down in Frankston. And I did that. And on the way back up to Melbourne, I thought, I'm going to have to pull over and write down what just happened because I think there might be a book in this. And so I pulled over and I jotted down some notes and that little episode became a kind of prologue. So
Great.
I'll read that.
Go for it. That's
Okay.
great.
The solicitor's office is small and stuffy and smoky. Light struggles through gappy Venetian blinds, faintly illuminating the motes of dust in the air. Ashtrays brim with cigarette butts, towers of manila folders, some tied with slim pink ribbons, teeter on filing cabinets on each end of the desk, in every corner on the scuffed linoleum floor. Across the desk from me, the solicitor is sifting through my file, occasionally stopping to read an entry and grunting softly. Sometimes he lifts his eyes to peer at me over the top of his spectacles, then returns them to the papers. He's stout and red-faced and wheezes softly with every breath. From time to time he sips coffee from a chipped china teacup. I sit silently and wait. I've driven for 2 hours down the peninsula from Melbourne on a friend's recommendation. He's like a bull terrier with a bone, my friend had said, just what you need. Looking around me, I'm beginning to wonder if I've wasted my time. But finally, after 20 minutes, he closes the folder, leans back, clears his throat and says something that floors me. Do you think you might have got the MS because you can't forgive your dad?
It's a great lead-in to the rest of your memoir.
Well, that was probably the first bit of it that I wrote.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So-
pulled off on the side of the road.
And jotted it down, and that was it, beginning of the book.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank
Yeah.
you. What's next for you, Jen? You've got another book in you. Is this part one or any other writing
Look,
projects in the pipeline?
I've always got something on the go. I keep a blog, and so that, just short pieces, of course. And I write for the Triangle, our local community newspaper. There is something.
Okay.
And there is another manuscript that I started before this one, actually, but the memories just kept poking through, and so I thought I'll just get that memoir out of the way.
Sure.
Yes, the other one's fiction, which I find a lot harder actually. I find it very difficult. You never know.
Fantastic.
But,
that's good to know.
Yes.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. You never know.
Thank you very much for coming in today.
Well, thank
you. It's an intriguing, delightful read, and very conversational writing as well. So I'm sure it will be very popular.
Great.
And of course, we do have a copy in the library here, and it is for sale through your website and local booksellers as well. I think Candelo Books and Collins Bookseller in Merimbula as well.
That's right.
So,
will I give the website address?
Sure, go for it.
It's jennifersevern.com.au, and Severn is spelt Severn.
Yep.
And Jennifer with 2 N's.
Very good. I'm glad I pronounced Severn correctly.
Any old way.
Thank you very much, and I hope everybody watching enjoyed this short book chat with Jennifer Severn and her book, Memoir, Long Road to Dry River. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.